In today's Leeds news, Shea Charles rejection details, Darlow's three-way race, Gelhardt Hull move won't happen just yet, Cresswell movement, and Ramazani Valencia move depends on the market. Friday the 3rd of July with your Leeds United news. Jay here at the Leeds View. Hope your week is going well. You've had a nice one. We'll have a transfer talk video out tomorrow or possibly Sunday. We're trying to work on something extra that we're hoping to get in the can in the next couple of days that we can bring to you early next week. I can't tell you what it is just yet because I don't know if it'll be allowed to go out just yet, but we'll give you the detail, being deliberately vague on that. Also, just to box off real quickly, Harry Wilson's. A lot of people asking what the situation is with Harry Wilson right now. The only information out there came from Graham Smith in the YEP yesterday, and he said, look, it's done, it's been agreed. You'll see him in a Leeds shirt, probably when you see him in a Leeds shirt. Likely when he gets back from his holidays or when he arrives at Thorpe Park next week. That's probably it, but there doesn't seem to be any major issues with there. Leeds aren't worried about the deal being hijacked. They do know that we've all got a little bit of PTSD from deals getting hijacked in the past. But again, as we always say, until you see him in a Leeds United shirt, you never know. But Graham Smith says, all done, believed to be fine. Let's start today's news then. We'll start off with the Shea Charles situation and where we are with that after yesterday's drama day when it comes to the Southampton midfielder. So yesterday, Simon Jones in the Mail said that Leeds had a second bid for Shea Charles of about £23 million plus add-ons gone in. Later yesterday though, Talk Sport journalist Alex Crooks came out with a tweet and he said that the bid was expected to be rejected, or Southampton planned on rejecting it, and the £23 million was wide of the mark and what had actually gone in. This morning, Baron Cross in The Athletic has more detail on this and a kind of a blow-by-blow scenario of what's gone on. We know the first bid that Leeds went in with was around about £20 million, which was rejected. Then there was an up to £25 million structured deal, which again was said to have been rejected. And now another bid went in of £23 million plus add-ons, and that appears to be wide of the mark when it comes to the valuation. The Athletic say that Southampton sources have told them and insist that the fee that went in was actually lower than the £23 million that was reported from the Mail. This still suggests though that there is a pretty large gap between Leeds United and Southampton in terms of valuation. It does feel like they're beating around the bush with this one. If you want the player, go and get him. If you're not going to go to the valuation they want, if you think it's too high, walk away, focus on other targets. So where we are right now, Baron Cross says that negotiations remain ongoing, which would suggest they're still trying to structure something to get it done, or they don't believe they're too far away. And it is described as a live situation that could develop over the next couple of days or into the weekend. But it does feel like we are starting to get closer and closer to a conclusion on this one way or the other. I felt yesterday that Leeds' bid was a final bid maybe going in, but you could suggest if they're still talking, there's maybe at least one more crack at this before Leeds decide to move on to other targets. It's not exactly a position that Leeds need as a priority right now, and he's been said by, again, somebody who knows him better than we do, Graham Smith in the YP, who watches him playing for Northern Ireland. He would compete with Ethan Ampadu, not necessarily guaranteed to start. So it's a lot of money and a lot of time for a player that's probably not needed. Yeah, he's probably going to be a very good player down the road as well and could grow into this side and be a very important player for Leeds. But at this moment in time, Leeds have other priority positions that they will likely need to get done. And that's not to say that they're not trying to do all of them at the exact same time. They could be trying to negotiate other stuff, but it's pretty quiet around other deals, except this one and maybe Julian Brandt to a lesser extent. The key line, though, that came out of everyone's reports is the bid is expected to be rejected, which isn't an exact rejection right now. It's expected to be rejected. This is like the Suzuki deal with Leeds, prepared to make a bid for the last 4 weeks, but actually haven't gone and made a formal bid. So it's a strange one, and at this stage it hasn't exactly been rejected as of the time of recording. Charles has got 12 months left on his deal. Southampton are playing hardball, as they probably should. Leeds appear to be trying to negotiate hardball as well, which again, yeah, they probably should. But they could probably spend their efforts on the continent getting probably better value for a similar type of player. And again, they've got 3 players in that position already, so I don't know. I don't think it's a massively important position to spend this much time on, but others will disagree, and that's absolutely fine. Leeds know what they're doing and they've got a plan for this summer. We'll see where it goes. Let's move on and talk about Karl Darlow. It's the worst part of a summer transfer window because you get these stories that are developing day by day and creaking along without any major conclusion to them, and you're sitting waiting to try and get the finalised pieces on this. The Karl Darlow situation is getting more and more complicated by the day. Simon Jones in the Daily Mail this morning has put out a piece that says that Karl Darlow has now officially received offers from Everton and now Manchester United. Now, Jones is reporting the full picture on this as of now, and he says the Leeds United have offered Karl Darlow a deal. It's a 2-year contract with a pay rise on what he was earning at the club, and Leeds, for their part in this, are confident that Karl Darlow will sign a new deal at the club. The key selling point on this is believed to be that Leeds are promising or have offered Karl Darlow the opportunity of first choice football going into next season, and that Daniel Farke has a huge amount of trust in him, so he'll be the number one next season, at least starting the season. From Manchester United's perspective on this, their interest is said to be conditional. They want an experienced backup goalkeeper for Senny Lamens, but they do need to sell Altay Bayindir before they can get the financial room they need to bring Karl Darlow in. Everton, we covered this over the week already. They want competition from Mark Travers and Jordan Pickford, but he'll likely still be a second choice option if he was to go there. Darlow, from Manchester United and Everton's perspective, is seen as a low cost, low risk option, and more importantly for them, would tick a homegrown player box. Now, Darlow is a free agent right now. He's no longer a Leeds player as things stand right now. He hasn't signed anything, and until he does sign something, this speculation is going to continue to rumble on. And as we said yesterday, Lucas Perry is the only contracted goalkeeper that Leeds United have in the club right now. So, not ideal. This feels like it is a money versus first team football option for Karl Darlow. Does he want to go and sit on the bench and maybe take some cash from the other two clubs, or does he want to be a first choice goalkeeper for Leeds next season in the Premier League and still get a pay rise? That should be said. There is still a pay rise apparently on the horizon. So, look, again, what's been reported is what's out there at the moment. This could likely have already been done and dusted behind the scenes, but it doesn't appear to be cut and dry, at least at this moment in time. And speaking of things that aren't exactly cut and dry, Joe Gelhardt to Hull City is worth having a chat about as well. Kurt Johansson, a Hull City reporter, has once again this morning confirmed that Hull City have genuine interest in Joe Gelhardt, but they won't be acting on it immediately and will revisit it later in the transfer window. At this stage, we all know Hull have made absolutely no secret that they want to bring Joe Gelhardt back to the club next season. They've outright said it from a chairman to a manager perspective. The player himself has said he wants to go to the club, but there seems to be a bit of a stalling of the move right now. Now, Johansson says that Hull have got other priorities in other positions that they need to focus on right now, and they will get to Joe Gelhardt further down the line when they have the time. Some of this feels like it's got something to do with the valuation. Hull City value Joe at anything between £3 million and £4 million. Leeds' valuation is said to be, depending on where you read it, when you've read it, and what reporter said it, anything between £5 million and £10 million. Given his G&A last season, you would hope it's more towards the £10 million. That might not be what clubs are willing to pay, though. There are other clubs that were said to be interested in Joe Gelhardt, and they might now see this as an opportunity to step in and not necessarily hijack a deal, but take the opportunity to get a deal done. But Gelhardt might be now looking at a situation where he has to come back to Thorpe Arch for at least the beginning of his pre-season. The vibe you get from this is that Hull City see this as a bit of a tap-in. They'll get the deal done and they'll get to it whenever they want to. From a Leeds perspective, Leeds don't have to sit around and wait for Hull City. If somebody else comes in with a half-decent offer and Leeds want that, take it. That money goes into the transfer key to build a squad for next season, or maybe Joe comes back and Farke has a fresh look at him. But yeah, it does feel like Hull City feel like this is a tap-in and they'll get it done whenever they feel like it. But we'll see. And let's talk about Charlie Cresswell movement, because things are moving there and money might be coming Leeds' way. And I know he's not a Leeds United player, but his movement this summer could give Leeds a few extra quid to spend. So we'll cover it at least until that stops. So Santi Auna of Foot Mercato and Sebastian Dennis this morning are reporting that Charlie Cresswell, Toulouse and Rennes are very close to completing a deal. The report says that a deal is close to being finalised between Toulouse and Rennes that will see Charlie Cresswell move for €23 million plus €3 million in add-ons, a total deal of around €28 million. The Leeds' perspective on this will give Leeds a sell-on fee of anything between €2.8 million and €4.2 million. I'll try and do a conversion on that. About £2.1, £2.2 million. £3.7 million, roughly. So the Leeds sell-on, and the reason for that difference is the Leeds sell-on clause details haven't been made public. There is a sell-on clause, we know that, but the actual details haven't. It is believed to be anything between 10% and 15%. So from an SCR perspective, if he does move to Rennes and if that fee does go through, that'll be very welcomed by the football club. Every penny will help at this stage. It's not a huge amount of cash, but it'll definitely go a long way to maybe paying a signing on fee for maybe a free agent, maybe someone like Julian Brandt. Although I wouldn't get my hopes up, and I definitely wouldn't put your house on it. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. It looks like it's getting closer and closer to being done. He doesn't look like he's going to come to England, and he will stay in League 1 for next season, at least right now, according to Sebastian Dennis. Let's talk about Largie Ramazani and wrap up today. So Valencia are in a very similar position to Hull City when it comes to Largie Ramazani. They would like to have him return to the club next season, but it's not a cut and dry situation. Again, Leeds' valuation of Largie Ramazani is believed to be anything between €10 million and €12 million, so £8 to £10 million. And Valencia's CEO, Ron Gurley, travelled to Leeds last month to try and have talks with the club around trying to convince Leeds to do a deal with Valencia. A report this morning says that although they would like to bring Ramazani back to the club next season, they are willing to sit back and wait for more favourable market conditions. And the shorthand version of that means, yep, they'd like to buy Largie Ramazani, but not at the fee that he's been priced at right now. And if they sit back and wait and no offers come in for Ramazani, then they can nip in towards the back end of the transfer window and get him at a cheaper deal, which feels like very standard Spanish sides transfer negotiations. We've seen this with Real Betis, and hopefully Leeds have learned their lesson on this. But this will depend if there is more interest in Largie Ramazani from other clubs. Coventry City were said to be interested at one point. Whether that's still the case or not with Premier League football remains to be seen. But he is another player now that will return again, at least for the beginning of pre-season at Leeds. He'll fall into a holding pattern along with a couple of other players. And until serious offers start coming in for Largie Ramazani, there's no movement there. And if they don't come in, he could be looking at a lot less football, or Leeds will have to take the gamble and wait until the end of the window, hope for an offer like they did last year with Meslier. And if it doesn't come, bite the bullet and take less money for him. If they loan him out, they'll get him off the wage bill, but they won't bring in the cash they possibly need in an SCR window this summer. So yeah, look, a lot more ground to run on Joe Gelhardt, a lot more ground to run on Largie Ramazani. We'll have to see where it goes. It's getting a bit quiet on everything else right now, but the Karl Darlow situation definitely seems like the one to keep the eye on right now. Exits seem to have overtaken incomings right now, and the Shea Charles one expected to be rejected, but not rejected as of time of recording. We'll see where that one goes over the next couple of days. There has been movement over the weekends when it comes to Leeds United moves, transfers. So we'll see. If we don't get a transfer talk out tomorrow morning, we will get one out on Sunday, and I'll let you know what we're planning to do if and when I get the green light to do it over the weekend. But hopefully it'll be of interest to you. Something slightly different for the channel. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. If you could, stick a like and subscribe on the channel on your way out the door. And if you haven't nominated us for the Football Content Awards, QR code's down below and the link is in the description if you fancy doing that. If not, no problem. I will talk to you outside. Mind yourself. Bye.